The EV revolution has arrived in the form of the Dacia Spring. I'm Dave, welcome to Dave Takes It On. The last reason you shouldn't buy an EV has now been shattered. New and used EVs have recently dropped in price and are now battling with the cheapest new and used ICE cars in the country. Now I get a huge number of comments and the vast majority claim that EVs are far too expensive. In fact, they're totally wrong. They certainly cost a lot of money, certainly in the early days, nobody doubts that, but if you can compare a Tesla Model 3 to a BMW 5 Series, costs very comparable, or an Audi A4 or Mercedes C-Class. And for those of you who don't regard the Tesla Model 3 in the same class as a Mercedes or BMW, then what about the Volkswagen Passat and the Hyundai Tucson? These are both all around about the same price. They're actually more expensive if you add some of the extra packs which the Model 3 already has. But they certainly cost a lot of money. The first serious EV was the Model 3, and that launched at nearly £40,000. Surprisingly, still available today in its much improved Highland refresh and costs exactly the same, $39,995 at the time of making this video. But while great value, this is beyond the budget of the majority of new car buyers who traditionally inhabit the £15,000 to £25,000 range. Probably the cheapest EV in the UK at the moment, the MG4 just misses out. It's about £27,000. But some are offering small discounts, so while it might just scrape into the sub £25,000 range, still a lot of money. But Dacia's just shattered that. The cheapest new car, not EV, but any new car on sale in the UK today costs around $13,700, shared between the Kia Picanto and the Dacia Sandero petrol. They've now been joined by Dacia's latest entry, the Dacia Spring, launching later this year, $14,995. But what's so remarkable is this is an EV, 100% battery electric vehicle, electric car. Not quite the cheapest new car in the UK, but it's definitely the cheapest EV on sale in the UK by nearly £10,000. That just shows how cheap it really is. But also to put it into perspective, the average price of a used car in the UK hovers around £17,000. Dacia Spring, an EV, costs new £2,000 less. And did I mention it's brand new or that it's an EV? Is it just a joke car? We've all seen the little Renault Twizy or the Citroën Ami, hardly proper cars now. But this is a proper car. It's an SUV, giving it that much more height. It has 4 full doors. It's a hatchback, a true little city runaround that's so much bigger than its direct rivals at this price, the Kia Picanto or the Citroën C1. It also comes with a commendable 3-year, 60,000 mile warranty, great for such a cheap car, and an excellent 8-year, but a miserly 120,000 kilometre warranty on the battery. But let's have a look at the electrics and the power, battery size and range before we get too excited. The battery's a meagre 25 kilowatt hour, but for a city car that's really no problem. States a range of 137 miles average, it won't do that. In the summer you're realistically likely to be getting something over 100 miles, and in winter considerably less, possibly down into the 60 70 mile. But city cars and motorists generally do between 10 and 20 mile a day, 5 days a week. So even 25 kilowatt hours could possibly give you a week's motoring on a single charge. And obviously, if you can charge at home, it will cope perfectly. But let's get this I can't charge at home blocker out the way right now. First, if you can't charge at home, I'm sorry, you're not going to get ridiculously cheap off-peak charging. Now, the anti-EV brigade see this as a reason to shout we should ban all EVs. I can't charge at home, so I can't get cheap electricity, so they're dearer to run and it should be banned. Now, in reply, I state that the latest figures show that up to 40% of young adults cannot afford to buy their first house. Should we therefore ban the building and sale of new houses because so many people can't afford one? What an utterly ridiculous argument. No, what's needed is more affordable houses, and in this case, more affordable EV public charging. I will support them if they lobby government to cut the price of public charging 100%. Now, if you can charge at home, simply plug it in every night. Your Dacia Spring has a 7 kilowatt onboard AC charger, which is about the maximum you'll get when you buy a home charger. above 7 kilowatts is rare, usually requires a significant upgrade at considerable cost to your home electrics. 7 kilowatts, the average EV will add around 20 to 25 miles per every hour it's plugged in. So if you just did 20 miles during the day, it will take about an hour to replace that overnight. Overnight, you've barely got to sleep. Your Dacia Spring will be charged then, ready each morning, and you'll have around about a 100-mile range each day. And you'll also have that when you wake up on a Saturday or Sunday morning, if you fancy a trip out into the countryside or garden centre or picnic, whatever takes your fancy. Just don't load it up with a full family and luggage and head off on a long road trip. But of course, you wouldn't do that in a Citroën C1 or a Kia Picanto either. And this gives you an utterly ridiculous, totally absurd cost per mile driven on a typical cheap off-peak tariff, just over a penny a mile. Yeah, penny a mile. See, consumption stated as on the Dacia Spring as 109 to 130 watt-hours per kilometre, or in English that's 175 to 200 watt-hours per mile, giving a range of between 5 and 5.8 miles per kilowatt-hour. So at 7.5p per kilowatt-hour off-peak, like the British Gas and Octopus, it'll cost you 1.29 pence to drive a single mile. Your daily commute, 20 mile, will cost you 25p. This is crazy. The average EV on the road hovers between 3.5 and 4 miles per kilowatt hour, so around 2p a mile. You couldn't get any closer to free motoring. Dacia Spring is a great little city car, real alternative to petrol. The seats fold down for greater storage inside, and the list of technical safety features is really impressive. Lane assist, automatic emergency braking, traffic sign recognition, or rather, it recognises speed limit signs and warns you if you're speeding. This is actually brilliant. I have it on my Model S. Only once got confused. That was in Scotland, where they had signs at the side of the road warning HGVs to slow down to 40 mile an hour. And mine didn't read the HGV bit. Oh well, not perfect. Well, all in all, this is exactly what we need. Is it perfect? No, of course not. In fact, no car is. But this is a really solid effort to enter the EV world at a silly low price. The next nearest competitor is probably the Citroën C3e. It does have a bigger battery, but it also weighs more and is less efficient. Plus, of course, it costs nearly £10,000 more. But this one is merely the first of many. A veritable torrent of new ultra-budget EVs is heading for the UK market. BYD is scheduled to launch their mini EV this year, the Seagull, which is supposed to launch at around the same £15,000. Plus Renault, who launched recently the Renault 5 at £25,000, are in talks with VW to develop a budget version of that under £20,000. VW on their own are reported to be close to launching their ID2 with a price tag of about £22,000. And on top of all that, Chinese are not sitting back quietly. They have a whole mass of makes and models destined for the UK and Europe, and some of these could be really cheap. I mean really, really cheap if they can pass our safety standards. Well, when EVs launched at £40,000 and prices immediately started climbing, many thought EVs were not for them. But the MG4 started the trend, and now Dacia's taken over. Later this year, we'll have multiple choice of cars, ICE and EVs, all in the £15,000 to £25,000 range. True choice at last, but spare a thought for the poor used EV market, for this is the sort of price you can get an early 2019 Tesla Model 3, a 2021 Nissan Leaf, 2022 Renault Zoe with really low miles, a 2020 VW ID3. Suddenly it seems EV market has come of age. Brand new from 15,000, really good low quality used EVs for 10 to 20,000. It's all happening.
Well, thanks very much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed it, please click the like button. And if you would, please subscribe. It makes such a difference to us as a new channel. If you click the bell icon, the notification, you'll be notified the next time we launch a video. And a massive, massive, massive thank you, last but not least, to our Patreon members. This side of the business is growing dramatically. We've had our most successful month ever, and thank you so much for your support for the channel. I'm Dave.